Welcome to Axium Portal Software. This video I'm going to show you how to add a user's profile and password to your web interface. As you know, if you have an AX800 or a 400, you do have the ability to open a web browser. Once you open a web browser, you go ahead and you can type in your IP address of your AX800 or 400, and it takes you to this, which is your web interface. With your web interface, it allows you to actually operate your system from any PC or computer that's sitting on your network. Okay, there may be an instance though where you have people using the system in multiple zones. You may want to give people different access codes just to access the zone that they're in only, and you can pick and choose which sources and functions that they would have in that particular zone. Okay, the way you do that is this. What I'm going to do is go ahead and close this out for now, because we're going to open it again later. What you do on your AX800, you go ahead and you open that up. Once you open up your AX800, you go ahead down to users accounts. And the users accounts, what you'll see is this. If you hit add right here, you can go ahead and add a profile. Now, this adding a profile here, what that allows you to do is pick and choose which zones this person's profile will be able to operate. In other words, if I'm the manager, I want access to all of this. But if I'm a guest and I'm in zone 1, maybe I only want to have that person operate zone 1. So what I'll do, I'll check zone 1, and that will be the zone that that person will be able to operate in. Within that zone, I can choose which sources he would have access to. Maybe I would only want that person to have access to a media player. But since I'm the manager, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give myself access to everything on the system here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and set up a profile. The way I'll do that is go ahead and I'm going to be manager. I'm going to just put manager in there. Okay, and give myself a password. At least a 4-digit password. Okay, once I get that done there, remember I gave myself access to all of the zones and all of the sources at this point. I go ahead and I upload that to the controller. Okay, now once that's uploaded to the controller, it's going to tell you to please clear your browser caching in order to see the changes to the page in the web application. Okay, what they're saying is, go ahead and close that application and open it again. In this case, I'm going to go ahead, go back to my browser. Go ahead and type in the IP address of my controller or my amplifier. Once I do that, this time it's going to ask me for that password. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put in manager and put in my code. Once I do that, it gives me access to the system. And here, you can see as the manager, I have access to all of the zones, all 8 zones on my system here. If I had 96 zones, it would give me access to all 96 zones. I have access to all of the sources within my system. Not only that, as manager, if I was to go up here to the web interface, and behind the IP address, I put backslash in the word config, and hit enter, that would give me access to the entire system. I can see all of the devices on my system. I can make changes to my system. I can see all of my sources and make changes to my sources as well as all of the zones. And I can reassign zones, and I can add media players and things to my system, IR routing, and also a log. Management level access, which gives us access to everything. So say you have individuals in your system though. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and close that out there. Say I have individuals in my system. I have 8 different zones and I have 8 different guests. I don't want them to all access everything within. So what I'm going to do is create another profile. And guess what? We're going to give him a password too. And guess what? We're only going to give him access to the dining room. And we're only going to give him access to our media player. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and upload that profile to my AX800 or 400. Once I do that, once again, it's going to tell me to go ahead and clear my caching. I'm going to go ahead, open my web browser, put in that IP address, and once again, it's asking me for the password. Now I'm just guest. And I enter my password. And I put in the wrong one. I think I'm guest 1, I believe. Yeah, guest 1. Enter my password. Now it gives me access, but it only gives me access to the dining room. Because this is the zone that I'm in, and this is the only zone that I'm allowed to actually do any functions in. So now I get to control the dining room and dining room only. I get to control the media source only because that's what was set up for me in my profile as guest 1. And you can set up profiles for all of your individual guests, up to 96 different people. If you have 96 zones on your system, you can have 96 guests and assign a different zone for everyone with a different profile and password. That way no one else can access anyone else's. Now this lockout will only work for the web interface. They can always go to a keypad and still have access, but of course you'll set up your keypads as individual zones if you're going to do it that way. For the web interface, this is how it would work, and you would go ahead and set up lockouts for individuals, okay? And that's how you set up a password and profile for your web interface for your AX800 and 400.